Hi, everyone, and welcome to my first take here on the new 7th Generation Mustang. Ford did the reveal last night up in Dearborn, Michigan at Ford headquarters. I'm just going to do a quick little brief overview of what I think of the vehicle, both inside and out. I guess first we'll talk about the show, though. It was an okay show. They invited people from over the country. If you got an invite, you were able to go up. They called it the Stampede. That being said, the show was a little dark to see. They did it so late in the evening that the sun was setting and pretty much was down halfway through the show, and the lighting was just not enough to be able to see the car and what they actually did to the changes of it. That being said, the changes aren't too drastic. It's basically a revised S550. The GT did get a little more styling cubes from the Mach 1, and then the EcoBoost actually does look a little different in the front. It's not as pronounced at the lower fascia. And whereas the GT has a heat diffuser in the hood, the EcoBoost lacks that. I wish the EcoBoost still kept something like that. My 2019 EcoBoost has the hood vents, and I've grown accustomed to having them on there. I like them. So having a flat hood on the EcoBoost is going to be a little off-putting coming from an S550 like that. The rear, though, a lot more stylized and angular for the rear taillights. Still the tri-bar. I'm sure there's still going to be sequential lighting, but it's certainly much more of a cut now when you're looking at the front, looking at the rear, I should say. After that, the side haunches got a little wider. You could tell. They said the belt line lowered a little bit. Overall, it's still a Mustang. It just looks like I said, a revised S550. Then Ford later on during the show announced the Dark Horse. Dark Horse is just basically it's your Bullet Mach 1 boss so far of the generation of what it's going to be. They gave it their own custom badges on the fender and rear deck lid. Not sure how I feel about that. Looking at the logo, it just reminds me of 90s comic book or even the Dark Horse wine logo. It was the first thing I thought of when I saw it. I think it'll be nice. They're aiming for 500 horsepower on it. Gonna have a Tremec transmission in it, whereas the EcoBoost and the 5-liter will still keep that get rag. No specs were released for the EcoBoost or the 5-liter yet as to what the horsepower will be. We're hoping it's gonna be a little bit more. It'd be nice if with the EcoBoost you at least do what the high performance package was doing with 330 horsepower, if not more. And the 5-liter hopefully gets revised now. I think they're on the 4th generation now. It came out in the new F-150. And hopefully that goes up from the 450 that they had to drop it to for 2022 and 23. Going inside was definitely a bit more of an upgrade, or maybe not an upgrade, but at least a change from what you have in the current interior. A lot of the tactile buttons and switches are now gone. The center stack at the lower half still keeps some buttons, but the top half is a screen that carries over into the gauge cluster. I will give them credit. At least the screen for at least your median infotainment system is not a huge tablet like on the Mach E, for example, or many other SUVs or Teslas. That being said, it's just a rectangular slab like anything else. They didn't do any sort of styling with the bezel on it. As a matter of fact, it bothers me to no end that it's a rectangle that goes above the dash line, which I can't stand that. I would much rather have it flush. If you look at the 2018 and up digital cluster, yeah, the piece itself is a rectangular screen because screens are rectangular, but the bezel that they use is still shaped like the analog gauge cluster bezel, just minus the two little inserts to separate it up, separate the pods up. So it looks sleek because it still has a curvature to it, and they're dropping that, and I just think it looks horrible now with just having a big gigantic rectangle on it. Steering wheel change, buttons changed on it as well. It looks like some buttons moved to the steering wheel rather than off of it. Handbrake is now, it's electronic, but they're gonna be having a hydraulic drift, so I'm guessing the handbrake is just used for drifting now. They didn't quite go into that if I'm still gonna be able to pull that handbrake up and it actually is the handbrake for the vehicle. Other than that, I do have to say I do enjoy some of the updates, though, on the inside. The center console still looks the same. It's still the same shape. The door handles are the same, and the lock and unlock buttons are the same. Those are definitely carryovers. You can just see that. The speaker grills got changed, though. They're a little more flush into the doors now, as opposed to having like that rounded ridge that goes down a little bit. And then the ones on the A pillars now are a little more trapezoid looking, which I think just fits the shape better. The vents changed too. They're a lot more squared off now. They said they were going for more of a Fox body style approach on the inside. As a matter of fact, you can even make the gauge cluster look like the Fox body dials and gauges from back in the day there. They could still be changed up. They showed off in the press photos a few different gauge cluster stylings. I'm assuming that's when you switch over to drag mode, track mode, kind of like what it does in the 18 gauge cluster. The center stack at the bottom got cleaned up a little more. It's raised up now. It doesn't touch down nearly as far. And then they added a wireless phone charger there. I'm assuming it's probably going to be on a premium package. You probably won't get that on a base one, but it's nice little upgrades and a futurization of, or not futurization, I guess modernization of the Mustang, coming from a what's now an 8-year-old interior. The last little final touch I really did enjoy was that the rear glass now actually has the profiles of all 7 Generation Mustangs at the bottom of it. This is something that I know Dodge does with the Challenger and Charger, where you can find the outline on the glass on it. So it's not entirely original, but I do think it's a nice heritage to show on the back of the vehicle. But yeah, that's my take on it. I'm looking forward to seeing it in person. Overall, I think the design looks fine. It's been growing on me over the past day and night that I've been thinking about it. So I the next step is just to see one in person, which who knows when that's going to be. They're saying summer 2023. I'm sure most of them are going to already be purchased at that point and probably won't even be available to even sit in. But hey, who knows? If I can find a chance to to see one when it comes locally here to where I live, be glad to see it. But just let me know what you guys think. Like it, hate it, love it. Which any opinion is good to read. Always good to see a new set of eyes and what someone has to say about it. But anyway, thanks for watching. Talk to you later.